Welcome to the 15th episode of Generation Gap Book Reviews. I'm Christy the mom.
And I'm Lena the daughter.
In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the book The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Shaffer and Annie Barrows. Quite a mouthful of a name.
Yeah.
I suppose the story for this one is pretty simple, actually.
Oh.
Your Aunt Sarah told me about it and, in fact, gave me a copy of the book. She said she has a few, I think she said she had a few copies and she liked to pass them around to people and said, pass it on when you're done. I haven't, but in a way I have, I guess, because then I recommended it to you and you have read it. And I read it again because I read it years ago and I didn't want to have to speak in generalities and vagueness because I remember mostly just that I liked the book, but not necessarily details. So I read it again recently so we could talk about it.
Yay.
Do you want to tell us what it's about?
I don't know. I read the book long enough ago. I don't think I could do it very easily. It's like World War II. It's like right after World War II.
It's
and,
like World War II.
Dude died. People died.
What?
People died.
Spoilers!
Sorry, people who haven't read history books and are getting spoilers now.
Oh, you mean people in general. I thought you meant characters in the book.
No!
All right, so the book takes place a few years after World War II. Like, maybe not. Hold on. You know what? I better look.
It's like in 1950 something.
Like, no, 1946.
I knew that.
So I just looked.
Oh.
So right after World War II ended. And it takes place in England. The main character of the book is a woman named Juliet, who is a writer living in London. Sorry, before I really get any further, I should mention, this book is written entirely in epistolary format.
Yeah, like the Bible. No, I'm kidding.
The Bible is not written entirely in epistolary.
Most of the New Testament.
Okay, so what does that mean, epistolary format?
There's letters. It's letters.
It's all letters. It's all just written letters from various people to other various people. So the book opens with this, kind of getting to know this writer named Juliet, and she mostly is corresponding early on, I think, with like her editor and some friends, or at least one friend. Then she gets a kind of out of nowhere letter from a stranger living on the island of Guernsey, which is in the English Channel.
Guernsey.
This begins a correspondence that expands to other people from that same island who were all part of a literary society called the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
What?
That started during World War II. It was formed during the German occupation of the island, and then it turned into so much more.
I remembered all of those details, Mom.
For real?
No, not at all. Man.
One thing I want to mention up front, because I think a lot of people would shy away from reading a book that is written entirely as letters, is that it does a really good job, the authors do a really good job of making it clear who's writing to who. Because you don't read the letter and have to get to the end before you see who it's from. Each one starts with saying who it's to and who it's from. You know from the point that you start reading the letter who wrote it. And that can help a lot with keeping things on track. Now, Lena, what did you like about this book?
It was very unique. Plus, it's very historical, and I enjoy World War II stuff. So, I thought it was interesting in that regard.
I really like the fact that you get the history of the Channel Islands being occupied by the Germans, because I'll be honest, I think before I read this book, I mean, I might have learned some of this stuff when I was in school, but I haven't been in school for a long time. I haven't learned history for a long time.
No way!
And I don't know that I didn't know or I definitely didn't remember that any part of England had been conquered, basically, and occupied by the Germans. I always thought England had managed to fend them off, but these poor islands that are in the channel between England and Europe did undergo some pretty harsh times during World War II. So I liked that as well. I liked the learning about that history. What else did you like?
There's some romance.
It is a very subtle romance, to me at least, but I really like subtle romance. So I actually kind of remember feeling like for me at least, it seemed like it kind of came out of nowhere because I didn't know there was going to be romance. You went into it at least knowing there was going to be romance.
No, I remember being like, wait, where's the romance?
Right. I mean, that's how subtle it is. What else did you like about it?
She meets a lot of people, and it's kind of interesting, and I feel like the authors were very good at different voices too.
Yeah, they're the people on the island, especially. There were a lot of them that were part of this society. Sometimes some of these people, there was only one letter from them, but
Hmm.
they still felt real.
Oh, I think that's it. What about you?
I've always been a character reader, which means I don't know if you know what that means.
You read for
It
characters?
means you're more into the characters than you are the plot.
Oh.
So a not superb plot, but really good deep characters. I'll probably enjoy more than a really interesting
Mm.
plot with really terrible characters. And yeah, the characters really were what made the book so great, and I really liked the way that the heart of the literary society was not really present when the characters all like came together in the physical space, but she was still a really big part of the story. There's a lot more than I expected. That I thought when I was reading the book early on the first time, and again this has been like 4 years, so take this with a grain of salt, but meaning I may not actually be remembering correctly, but
Hmm.
I feel like I remember that it was history, and we're she's learning about the society, and she's communicating with all of these different people and kind of becoming an honorary member of their society. And I didn't really realize, I did not expect, I think there ended up being more to the plot than I expected in the end, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure I'm wording it well, but I don't know if any of that makes sense. By the time I got about halfway through the book, because the book split into two parts, by the time I got to part two, I was completely hooked. I also like the fact that, probably largely because it's epistolary format, but it's also not super long of a book, and it's a pretty quick read. There's not, it's not bogged down with a lot of descriptions and stuff like that. It's just letters. What did you not like about the book?
I was confused. I'm really bad at paying attention and things.
Well, then how can you read any book?
Well, I would like
You just
halfway
like
through the letter,
just
I would
scan through it, and you're like, those are words. I don't know what they're saying.
No. No. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry. Go on.
So like halfway through a letter, I'd be like, wait, who's talking to who again? And then I'd have to go back and be like, oh,
Now, so you're gonna
okay.
scare people off from reading a book, reading it because of the epistolary style.
No, I mean, it's not bad. It's unique and I like that, but like just my own self is hard to read.
Your own self is hard to read.
No, like because of my own self, it's hard to read for me. But oh, that's what I disliked about it.
You disliked that the epistolary style made it confusing, even though you also liked the epistolary style.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're contradictory. It's okay.
They're different ways. I just can't explain it very easily. I mean, I feel like there were some letters I was just like, I feel like I'm not getting much out of this letter, to be honest. But like, I couldn't tell you which ones. I mean, why would I tell you which ones? I can't tell you which ones either way. Mom, what did you not like about it?
I mean, there wasn't much. There was a particular character I didn't like, but like you've said in previous podcasts, that was probably on purpose.
Hmm.
So it's not really a fault with the book. I don't. Early on in the book, I was kind of annoyed with, and I mean pretty darn early. I was a little annoyed with Juliet because she
Oh.
was kind of whiny.
Oh.
Her first several letters were a lot of just complaining. Like she just came through a war, and yet she acted a bit entitled, but it didn't last long, so it wasn't too bad. Okay, so what would you rate this book?
4.
Wow. I gave it 5 stars.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's not normal at all.
That's really not normal.
If it was like, if I said 4.5, I would be less shocked, but wow.
4 and 5. Wow. And this way, I mean, me giving a book 4 that you gave 5 is not that uncommon.
No. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you hated it so much that you only give it 4 stars, who would you even recommend it to anyone?
What?
Well, for
4
you,
means 1 in my book, apparently.
Yes, for
Dude,
you,
I've
4
been reading
stars
books
is like
4
nothing.
stars recently. I rate a book 3 stars, thank you.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Would you recommend it to anyone?
People who like history and like letters.
History and letters.
Yeah.
That's what this book's about.
Well, I say yeah, like 14 and up, because I was 14.
I mean, it's probably more meant for adults, but it's not terrible for teenagers, I would say. So
I read a lot of books
I wouldn't
that
have
I feel
recommended
like
it
are
to you
meant
if
for
I
older
was.
people.
It's a lot cleaner than some of the stuff you read.
Yeah, a lot.
And I would say the same people who are fans of historical fiction, especially those who like character-driven stories, I would say is, and you don't have to like historical fiction to enjoy it. It really is. It's a book full of emotion and heart.
Is there language?
I don't remember there being any language.
Okay, so clean.
So in other words, it's a blank book.
Oh my god.
No language. Well, that takes care of that book, which, by the way, I never call it by its full name because I get confused. If I'm not seeing it, I forget the full name. I just call it the Guernsey book. But okay, and that's it for the Guernsey book.
Join us next time when we are going to be reviewing The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton.
Until next time, I'm Christy.
And I'm Lena.
And this is
Generation Gap Book Reviews.